area. Sadly, this one could not be saved. Damage revealed. Brooke Pellenshar's family home on Pinecone Drive destroyed by flames. All that's left standing is the chimney of what she thought would be her forever home. A GoFundMe has been started for this family.
Here, I wanted to point out that it's burning by the metal. And then here, I wanted to point out these branches are enveloped by like a thin layer of flame, which looks very unusual. Okay, so yeah. Here, I wanted to point out that it's burning by the metal. And then here, I wanted to point out these branches are enveloped by like a thin layer of flame, which looks very unusual. Okay, so yeah, that was some really strange damage. We saw a lot of aluminum that was melted. We saw glass that was melted. And the only things that seemed to remain were steel and stone. Okay, so now they've ever seen before.
Been a Wrightwood resident for 30 years. I've been through a lot of fires. I've never seen it move that fast. It's behind my house, and it reminds me of what we saw at Paradise. That's what it looks like up there.
Yeah, so as you can see, there was people who lived there for 30 years who said they've never seen anything like that before outside of Paradise, California. And so, yeah.
The most surprising of all of them, all three have exploded in really untraditional fashion, is exactly what I'm hearing from firefighters that I have spoken to in the last 48 hours across our area, who tell me these fires have really caught the firefighting community almost somewhat by surprise, in the sense that the behavior of the fire, despite the preparedness on the part of our tremendously equipped fire departments and firefighting agencies across the region, the behavior of the fire is just different. They say it's just different than fires and fire seasons of previous years. So take for that what you will, or with that what you will, because for me, I certainly can't remember, certainly in the last 10 years, anything quite like this, where you have three major fires all burning in 1 week without very much wind.
All right, here I wanted to show you how each of the boards are burning relatively evenly. And when they do another close-up of the tree, you're going to see even the tree bark itself has like an envelope of thin flames all along the surface on one side facing the house. So yeah, here, now that they've zoomed in, you can see all the boards are burning evenly, and even the edge of the tree there is burning super evenly with like 1 inch long flames.
So these two are from Brush Junkie YouTube channel. I'll leave a link in the description, but a couple things I want to draw your attention to. He said on 2 different occasions that you can see that the tree is kind of covered in a thin envelope of flames. I'll draw your attention to some more examples of that, where I don't believe it's even the tree burning. It's like what we saw in that demonstration I gave of a plasma candle, where these 2 rods, like antenna, create a flame between the 2 of them without any fuel in between the 2 rods. What is it burning? The air. And something similar is happening here with these trees. It is not the actual tree that's burning or the leaves that are burning. The tree is working like an antenna and a conductor to create some sort of chemical reaction around the tree, igniting the flames. So just keep that in mind. The 2 different times that this guy referenced the thin envelope of flames, I was impressed by his observational skills. The other thing he said is that those boards are burning evenly. It's something I've pointed out before, that the whole house burns simultaneously. A real fire starts at one end, burns its way through the house, and it takes a little bit of time. So by the time it gets to the other end of the house, the first end of the house where it started is already going out because it's spent all of its fuel by the time it makes its way down to the other end of the house. In these fires, the whole house starts on fire end to end simultaneously. That's also what you're seeing with these woods, with these forests. It's glowing all around the camera person from one end to the other. All of the trees are glowing red hot from inside. And as you heard them saying, these are burning in ways that they have never seen before. Notice the trees to your left are glowing. Turn to the right, they're all glowing. They're all evenly on fire. None of them are just barely catching on fire. And none of them are already burned out. They're all glowing. That's what all those little lights are, is trees that are glowing, burning on the inside. And I'll, of course, show you an example or two of that. But these will be the last examples I give you, unless and until I see something new and different. Look at all the glowing trees all across every hillside simultaneously, as far as the eye can see in every direction. Glowing trees. This is what the firemen mean when they say this is unlike anything we've ever seen. This is just different. It's not just stronger than what we've ever seen. It's a different quality of fire, not just quantity. And as you can see, as you saw previously in the other video, it's the same old story. Houses completely demolished, trees around them still standing, many with the leaves still on them. For example, that's what you're seeing here. The leaves are still on the trees. The houses are demolished. And it's the same old song. Melted cars, glass melted, and glass doesn't melt until like... he said what the temperatures are. The guy from Brush Junkie, I think it's like 1400 degrees. Forest fire is maximum 1400 degrees, and then glass doesn't melt till like 2000 or something like that. Notice the trees on the lower left and the tree in the center of the destruction. Here, you can see that the bark of this wood isn't even blackened, yet the bicycles are melted. The tires are burnt off of them because the steel belts within the steel belted radial tires, those circular steel belts work like an antenna and resonate with this electricity. Over here, this car, you can see the rust on the hood of that car. That's another of the plasma fire burn signatures of electrolysis. All of the metal rusts instantly. Just like those big orange beams we saw sticking out of the rubble pile on 9/11 that Judy Woods coined as the Cheeto effect, because they were bright orange like Cheetos sticking up out of the rubble pile on 9/11 because of the electrolysis that had happened. Those beams instantly rusted. You see the same instant rusting in these fires. And that does not mean it's directed energy. The last video I made showing you the bottom little corner of Johnny's shed catching on fire is just another of hundreds of examples that I've shown proving this isn't directed. There is no target. There is no objective. There is no one who benefits from the bottom corner of Johnny's shed burning. It's more like it overflows from the ground. The ground current overflows, and it's like a spring of water that springs forth from the ground and creates a fire. Here you can see the leaves where the so what caught the house on fire? If all of the trees around the house are still intact without anything burned, what caught the house on fire? And I've explained this enough times. It's electricity, it's microwave frequency, it's drawn toward the more conductive materials of the metal of the cars and the metal within the houses, and leaves the trees alone. When it strikes a place where there are cars and houses, it'll leave the trees alone. If it overflows and springs up from the ground out in the middle of the woods where there is no metal, it'll burn the trees in a very different way, often from the inside out. And I'll show you an example of that here in a second. Notice all the leaves. Leaves on the upper right. Leaves on all of these trees. Leaves. Cars completely melted. Leaves still on the trees. So yes, everything going on in California right now is plasma fire. A few weeks back, it was Central California, Stockton area, Sacramento area. Now it's Southern California, all around Los Angeles. Here, this is something I'm going to show you here in a minute. This is a tree that ignites and then goes out, where again, it's not the tree that's burning. It's not the leaves. It's actually the air around the bush. And there's something weird going on here. I'll show you that in live action from the actual news broadcast, where this bush lights up while they're talking to the reporter. I think that's just a timestamp. Oh, the reason I took that timestamp is because they've already arrested the arson suspect. This is the new MO where they tell you, we got the guy responsible. Yeah, we found incendiary devices in his car and at his house. We found evidence at his house and in his car, directly tying him to the fire. Don't worry, everyone. We got the guy responsible. That's the new MO. Again, leaves everywhere, houses destroyed. Standard procedure, house burning, trees all around it unburned with their leaves still on them. And this is just to show you the massive amount of smoke. And that's the guy. They got him. They got their man. That's the perp. He's the one that did this. Everyone direct your hate and your suspicion towards him. And anyone who starts questioning the nature of these fires, obviously you didn't hear we found the guy responsible. You tinfoil hat motherfucker, now shut up. But right now, it's a good thing that people don't understand plasma fire, because one viral video of my plasma fire videos and it's martial law for everyone. That's the deal. That's why I'm very glad they've suppressed this channel and stemmed the flow of the information and made sure that everyone doesn't understand the nature of plasma fire and the electromagnetic nature of it. Or we would have no other choice right now but to enact martial law. In these areas where there are fires, you'll see in the news clips people saying, yeah, I keep going back to my house, we're all evacuated, but I send someone back every couple hours just to make sure people aren't stealing our stuff. The police have to deploy patrols in these areas that have been evacuated to make sure people aren't coming along and stealing our stuff. It would be pillaging everywhere if people knew the nature of these fires and that the authorities have no control over them. The people themselves would be out of control and we would have no choice but to enforce martial law. So for that reason, the level of plasma fire all around us, the degree, the quantity of it all around us, now's the time when you're glad they kept this information under wraps, or you would be under martial law right now. This is just showing you all the fires going on in California. They got 3 of them. Here's one that's burning on the inside, and I'll actually show you the video of this. That's why I took the timestamp there at 2 minutes 47 seconds, so I'll know where to go. That's the guy. They got him. This one, that's a metal beam right there, center screen, going from right to left. You can see on both sides, there's unburned wood on this side of the burn area, and unburned wood on this side of the burn area, and everything in between them is missing. Fire don't do that. Ergo, everything you're seeing in California is plasma fire. And thus, the arson suspect, shh, don't tell anyone, he's not actually the one responsible. Just keep that between us, though, and let all the dumb fucks that we'd have to, if the livestock stampede, we would have to lock them down. And if they knew the truth about plasma fire, they would stampede. They would tear each other up. It would be looting and pillaging everywhere, just like in the neighborhoods where they know people have evacuated, so they got to send extra patrols to keep the animals from taking advantage of the situation. This situation, if the animals knew the nature of the situation, that same scenario, that same mindset would spread. And they can't put everyone in jail. That's why they would have to enact martial law and curfews everywhere if the people knew what plasma fire is and what we're seeing around us. Because you wouldn't be able to give them the story about a suspect, an arson suspect, if the general public knew about plasma fire. They would be out of control. There would be no choice but to enact martial law. Lock them all in their houses. Aren't you glad they stemmed the flow of information and made sure that the truth didn't get out? Over the past 6 years that I've been up here running my mouth, shouting from the rooftops? So right here, if it would play, that's what they're talking about when he said it's a thin envelope of flames all around the tree, but it's not actually the tree burning. The flames aren't actually coming from the pine needles, or you would see them coming from the pine needles. That's not what you see. You see everything enveloped in flame. Like this tree is working like a conductor, like an antenna. Why is there not flames coming right off the top of the tree? If there's flames all the way up and down the tree, why are there spots on the tree where there's no flame coming from? Why is there no flames coming from the very top? Watch right there. How come that top part's not burning? This is working like the plasma candle. It's not actually the tree that's burning. The tree is working as an antenna, and it's the air around the tree that's burning. They're about to show you some flame that's a bit of a different color. Right there. Notice the different color of that flame? Watch the color of these flames. This is from a security camera. And you'll see here in a moment the electrical nature of this fire in action, where it envelops the whole tree, and the whole tree goes up with 30, 40, 50 foot high flames, and then goes back out instantly. What's going on here? Is that lightning in the sky? Huh. That's a little different. Clearly it's an electromagnetic phenomenon, and these big fireballs in the air that come up from around the trees aren't anything like any fire we've seen before. And that's why they're telling you these fires are different. We've never seen anything like it. So this tree is going to demonstrate this phenomenon that I'm talking about, where it's not actually the tree that's burning. Watch it go up and envelop the tree, and now it's out. How did that whole tree suddenly go out? Watch it one more time. It's out. It envelops the whole tree right there, and then goes out. Sorry about that, had a little interruption. The tree is out. Suddenly the whole tree is enveloped, and then it's out. I'll let you watch that in real time now.
See more of those flames because they've dived down a little bit. That is just the way that things are going here. You see the flames kind of shoot up really, really quickly. It prompts the firefighters to come in to sort of try and move away any of that dry brush that's around the homes, put water on the homes in the surrounding area so that the fire isn't fueled by anything more and it dies back down. But the winds kick up and we see it over and over and over again. Now, we want to be clear that those homes, there aren't anybody in them. So that the fire isn't fueled by anything. Sort of try and move away any.
So I didn't realize that she's explaining this phenomenon that I'm trying to describe as we watch this. She says suddenly the trees, the flames just shoot up in the air all of a sudden, and the firefighters do blah, 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 whatever word salad to wait until it goes back down again. Listen to the words that she says. She's trying to explain this phenomenon that we're witnessing.
To show you of that moment that prompted the firefighters to move in. And while you can't really see any more of those flames because they've dived down a little bit, that is just the way that things are going here. You see the flames kind of shoot up into the sky. They get incredibly ferocious. They move really, really quickly. It prompts the firefighters to come in to sort of try and move away any of that dry brush that's around the homes, put water on the homes in the surrounding area so that the fire isn't fueled by anything more and it dies back down. But the winds kick up and we see it over and over and
Okay, I had the microphone turned off. What I was trying to say is that she's trying to explain this phenomenon where the tree surges, the fire surges, and then dies back down, and then surges again, and then dies back down. And regular fires don't do that. They burn the fuel that's at their disposal. What we're seeing here is a surge of fire from the electricity influx, and then it dies back down, and then it surges back up and it dies back down, and it's not because of the wind. There's another guy who shows you one of these trees or bushes igniting at his house. Right as the reporter, he's trying to explain to her that it keeps surging. It keeps reigniting, then going out, and reigniting and going out. And it ignites right as the reporter's watching it, and there it goes. It just ignited a second time, and then goes back down, and then reignites, and then goes back down. It's because it's so electrically charged. These fires are behaving in ways we've never seen because of the nature of them.
Heavy smoke has hampered efforts by air units to fly into some areas out here. This shot from NASA shows just how big that smoke plume is.
I believe this is unlike anything we've ever seen, and this is evidence of it. It looks like an exploding volcano or something. Firenados is a term they came up with in the last 5 or 6 years that I've been documenting these plasma fires, and it is a feature of plasma fire. They invented that word, and Brush Junkie has featured at least 4 or 5 or 6, 10 of these little firenados. Some of them are small and some of them are big. But they're all new. This is not normal fire behavior. This is a feature of plasma fire. Listen carefully to what he's about to explain to her, that everything will be good, and then all of a sudden it just surges up out of nowhere and then goes back down.
He's keeping a close eye. During our interview, we saw how quickly things can shift.
You think everything is good, and then all of a sudden all this dead brush catches on fire.
That's what we hear right now.
Yeah,
There's sounds
exactly. I've been
there.
watching it. You'll see that thing will just rear up, and it'll be burning. So
it's burning. There's flames now.
yes, exactly. So I can't help with that, but there's a little smoke over here. I can kick some dirt on it and stay out of the way of the professionals, but that I can't help with that.
Oh gosh, but when you see that, look how fast it's going up right now.
Exactly. So you want to pay a lot of attention to where you're at, and that'd be a good example of if you've got some dead brush, like, you know, those aren't trees that are catching fire. That's old chaparral that's already kind of dead, and it'll light up like nothing.
One more time, and this may be what it's referring to in the Bible when it says that, he met God in a burning bush and the bush was not consumed. See how quickly it surges from pretty much nothing to fully engulfed with 30-foot high flames up off the top of the bush back down to nothing. The bush isn't consumed. It didn't run out of fuel because the bush is not what it's using to burn as fuel. The bush is working as an antenna, a resonator of the energy. It doesn't surge up that quick and it doesn't die out that fast if it's using the bush as fuel and it's regular fire. So here you're going to see on the right hand side it's burned half of the diameter of the tree, but on the left hand side this tree is now laying on the ground on the left hand side, which is the top. It's unburned, and then you're going to see a tree burning on the inside.
Spot fires are now sprinkled through the steep and heavily wooded terrain. The lack of wind, that's helped the fire.
Burning on the inside. The branches are not burning. Burning on the inside. So this means there'll be plenty of trees to make the artwork out of, like I've made. I've got a whole storage unit full of these plasma-fired pieces of wood where it hollows out the trunk on the inside and leaves the outside. That's what you're seeing right there. These will be all over California. Will people notice after it goes out and they're looking at the aftermath? Wow, these trees are like hollow on the inside and unburnt on the outside, relatively. And what you're seeing here is what I've called ground scorch, where there'll still be leaves, and weeds, dry weeds, sticking up out of the blackened, scorched ground. That's what you're seeing here. The burn is happening at ground level, but not going up into the weeds and consuming the weeds. Right there. And this is what it'll end up looking like when that fire's done. Here, let me just skip it forward a little bit here. See all the weeds sticking up out of the ground? That's what that looks like after the fire moves through and burns the ground and leaves the weeds. You see how much fuel there was here that should have burned if this was a regular fire that's still sticking up out of the black scorched ground. This is an older video of mine. All of this would have burned and should have burned if it was a regular fire. That leaf is scorched, but not burned. We'll just show you another burn pattern here that's unique. This one is titled Shine On You Crazy Diamonds. And I'll link it in the description because it gives a lot of good visuals of burn patterns that fire does not produce, like what you're seeing now on screen. Fire don't do that. And it's got some crazy messaging.
Ceremony. This is like the last week of school.
Earth School graduation ceremony.
Of the moon landing, but the song that we will be cranking to 11 on the day they reveal the truth about the moon landing. That's what that song's about. So this is the graduation ceremony. This is like the last week of school, where it was a big party and no one had to do any homework or nothing, because we knew it was the end of the year, and the last week of school is a big party. And that's what this is. Party time, live it up. This is the last time that you'll be able to experience this for the first time. So this channel and the discussions we're going to be having going forward are going to be for the people with a 3-year degree in plasmology as far as this subject is concerned. Other people are going to have to learn on their own. But there are a lot here who have a 3-year degree in plasmology, and there are others who just came into the room.
That's from the video over 3 years ago titled Shine On You Crazy Diamonds. I will link it in the description. It's got some pretty strong messaging along with very good visuals of plasma fire. And here you can see one from 4 years ago titled Fiery Sermon from the Valley of the Shadow. And over 4 years ago, I was saying I'm done doing plasma fire videos. Well, now I mean it.
This is going to be super depressing, but I'm going to do it anyway. You can see there's a hole right there in the ground. Because I've already made one video up here at Jacobs Lake in Arizona, and that's one of the baby trees that have grown in since the first fire that I documented. And they have signs on the side roads that say, "Do not enter, burn area," as if a person walking around in an area after there's been a fire somehow damages the environment more. And they have signs that say, "No smoking except in vehicles," as if this is being caused by people flicking cigarette butts out their windows. You seeing a pattern here with the holes that are blown in the ground?
You can see the roots around the edge where the root used to stick into the dirt. You'll see what looks like little mole holes that are perfectly round around the edges of each one of these holes, and that's where the roots of the tree once were.
And that's where a tree once was. This whole thing is where a tree once was. And they're still pretending this is forest fire. Blowing these holes in the ground. Clear down in there. Another one. And I'm gonna go right over here and show you something real depressing. Because I'm getting to the point where I know I've said this before that I'm going to stop doing plasma videos, plasma fire videos. But plasma fires just keep on happening, and I'm still the only one doing them. The closest I've come to anyone saying someone else notices this is telling me, "Oh, over in Duchesney, whatever the fuck his name is, I did, this one's clear up to my knee, right here. That's the level, that's ground level right there. That's what's left of that tree and the outer bark right here."
What I was trying to hit was that spot where you can see the holes on the other side. This one's clear up to my knee. You can see the holes on the other side. Right there, center screen, just to the left of that piece of wood, that's where a root once was. And you can see others all around it. One down and to the left, one off to the right. And here, at 28 minutes 30 seconds into the video titled Fiery Sermon from the Valley of the Shadow, you can see the unburned branch sticking out to the left, and a very fine line between the burnt trunk on the right and the unburned branch on the left. There's multiple examples of this in this video. There's another one. Unburnt branch sticking out to the right of the burnt trunk to the left. This will also be linked in the description. That changed my life. And it's got a fiery sermon. That's why it's titled. The way that I allude to Christ, and I've been directly very open and honest with my experience. It was a heartfelt, tear-drenched prayer to Jesus Christ that changed my life. But obviously I've been being prepared for this for much longer than just the last 2 years. That 2 years has turned into 6 years, because when it says 4 years old on this video, that means it's over 4 years old. The day that it turns 4 years old, that number turns to 4 years. I've been doing this 6 full years. This is my 7th summer. And there's a reason that I'm done. Now we're to the point where people in California are surrounded by this. And we would be screwed if I had been successful. Drenched spray. What did I do? What I was trying to do was show you the fine line right there, where the base of that unburned branch meets the trunk of that charcoal tree. And there's a couple other examples in here too with a very fiery sermon. Link will be in the description. But unless I see something new and different, like, oh, hey, wow, I've never seen that in the whole 6 years and 7 summers that I've been videotaping plasma fire. If I see something new and different, sure, I might make a video of that. But just showing you the same old burn patterns, you all know the patterns. These videos don't go out to anyone new, and I'm grateful for that. These videos are only viewed by the subscribers to this channel who have seen these patterns over and over and over. It no longer makes sense for me to continue creating these videos, and thus, unless I see something new and different, this is the last plasma fire video. Others, like Brush Junkie, can take the torch and run with it. 11 months ago, her video, she's got like 30 some odd thousand subscribers, and it was all based on cosmetics. The brush she's referring to in the title, Brush Junkie, is blush, eyeshadow, brushes for the purpose of applying cosmetics. And 11 months ago, she did a hard break, full stop, no more videos about cosmetics, this matters more. And she hasn't made a single video about cosmetics ever since. Why is it someone like her that I'm handing this torch off to? All of you who call yourselves truthers can't be bothered. You got other shit that's more important. Other things to make videos about. Each and every one of you could have taken the baton. She's the kind of person we need. She's reaching normies. People who she attracted with the most shallow and superficial of subject matter, cosmetics, are now suddenly getting hit with plasma fire videos? That's the kind of people we would have hoped to have gotten through to 6 years ago. Because here in the truther community, we're just in an echo chamber, talking to other truthers. She was not in the truther community. She had built her entire channel on makeup application tools, brushes. That's why her channel name is Brush Junkie. And 11 months ago, she did a hard break. Full stop, not another single video about beauty and makeup and cosmetics. And each and every one of you should have done the same, but you didn't. That's why I have her to hand the baton off to and say, you want more videos about plasma fire to repeat and say and show you the same things I've been showing you for 6 years, you can go subscribe to her channel. Because I know people really only remember the first thing and the last thing that you told them and everything else just kind of blurs together, I wanted to finish off with this and reiterate. A fire does not surge and build as quickly as this does, nor die down as quickly as this does. If it is a standard fire burning the bush itself, it is not consuming the bush like the fire in the Bible, where he saw God in a burning bush, and the fire did not consume the bush. Is that not what we are seeing right here? Why didn't it continue burning the bush until the bush was gone? Why does it just go out after the bush is fully enveloped and fully engulfed? It goes out. I think it was Moses who saw God in a burning bush. I think it was Moses. I'm pretty sure that's who was in the story. And the fire did not consume the bush. Is that not what you are seeing right there? When it's that engulfed, it should burn the rest of the bush until the bush goes out, but it's not actually burning the bush. It's burning the air around the bush. And if it does that for long enough, eventually, yes, because those leaves and that wood is surrounded by fire, the fire will eventually radiate enough heat that it will actually catch the bush on fire instead of just the air around it. That's what we're seeing right there. The fire that doesn't consume the bush.